Hi, it's Shayna with Planting Roots Pacific Northwest, and we are here in my Western Washington garden doing another August garden update. I already posted a tour and a garden task video earlier this month, but August is such a busy time that there is still so much to do. So I would like to take you along with me while we scope the garden out, do some chores, and get some things done. So let's go. Is it just me, or did it become fall? Is this the false fall time in the Pacific Northwest? Because that's what it feels like today. I'm by my lemon cucumbers, and while they've been extremely productive for me this year, they are starting to get yellowing leaves. And so I just want to go through all my garden beds and prune off all of the damaged leaves. This should help to send the energy back into creating healthy fruits and foliage rather than to the weakened plant tissue and material. It should also help to prevent pests that like to feed on decaying plant matter, and also help to control the spread of disease. To get started, I am using isopropyl alcohol, aka rubbing alcohol, to clean off my pruners so I don't spread disease to the rest of the plant with these things. I got my plant debris bucket and a harvest basket to harvest any lemon cucumbers that I see that need to be harvested. I put off getting one of these knee pads for so long because I was like, oh, it's not needed, I don't need it. No, I do need it, and it's amazing and I don't regret it. So I highly encourage you to pick one up if you've been thinking about it. They are worth the hype. While I was pruning back, I noticed a pickling cucumber, which I'm really excited about because I didn't think any of those plants survived. Okay, the cucumbers and pumpkins have been done. This arch trellis looks so much better getting the debris cleaned up. Now my pepper is getting more light and more airflow. This should also benefit my nearby plants. I did clean up an entire bucket of debris and harvested some more lemon cucumbers. There are a lot that are close to being harvested but not quite ready, so I'm gonna leave those ones. We didn't make it very far for another plant to need attention. This here is a volunteer bush style red cherry tomato, and it is overtaking the bed. I don't even know where to really begin besides pruning off all of this blight. Blight's really common in tomatoes for the lower leaves or any of the leaves touching the soil. All right, so I'm just gonna snip off all of these leaves that show early blight. I do think all of the small holes are related to flea beetles. It seems like I have a pretty bad flea beetle problem. They seem to attack my tomatoes, potatoes, radishes, beans. I read you can use kale and clay to deter them. Has anybody tried this method or has had success with anything else to deter flea beetles? So this is your reminder, if you're like me and you've been dreading cleaning up your garden beds, go outside, clean up your garden beds. You'll feel much better once it's done. I was just gonna leave the tomato a mess, but my husband came through to help me trellis some other plants, and he decided we should use a tomato cage, which I said, sure, be my guest. If you wanna fit the tomato through, that's fine. I just came through with my pruners and pruned the absolute crap out of it, so we could get it to a state where we could use a tomato cage. This took way more time than you would expect. I think I spent a total of an hour trying to contain this plant. It takes two to make a thing go right. It takes two to make it out of sight. I recognize that this looks insane. However, it is still way better than it was before. So I'm super grateful that Garrett came by and helped me with this because I was not about to deal with this situation. One thing that I'm noticing as I'm going through these beds is that our drip irrigation isn't doing a great job of getting water to like all parts of the bed. So I should be supplementing water more often than I am, especially around the edges of the bed. So I'm gonna add straw mulch to my list today. I already have a bunch of straw mulch that I picked up for like $5 from a neighbor. I should have already done it. I thought maybe because I was packing my bed so densely, I wouldn't have to worry about it. Alas, not. What I'm thinking with this pumpkin is we have to be really careful and try to hold it and see if it will go along the fence here, because this is getting too compact, you know, too crazy. Thing is, we have to be really careful to not break it as I just freaking go for it.
Yeah, where are you gonna tie it to?
It's a great question that I haven't prepared for yet.
I mean, if I go around, we can tie it to a board, fence board.
Let's do that. That'd be cool. I like that idea. We're utilizing the fence to trellis up this bush style pumpkin. I think this is the Lil Pumpkin variety by Fairy Morse. I just want to get it off of the gravel, off of the dirt, and allow it to just grow vertically up the fence to save space, clear out this path. And here's the final product after tying it off to the fence. The root was being pulled on pretty good, so hopefully it recovers okay. I can't believe how much space it actually saved. The vertical tomato trellis was in dire need of some help. I had a lot of vines shooting off in different directions that needed to be trellised. So we grabbed some twine. My husband helped me trellis the vines upward, and then kind of same thing with the other tomato plant. While he worked on trellising it up, I worked on pruning back the lower leaves to prevent the soil from splashing up, hitting the bottom leaves and causing disease. A lot of people don't recommend pruning your tomatoes at all, but because I am packing these in so densely, I am pruning them back to keep them more contained, create more airflow, and to create a cleaner appearance because I just don't like it when it gets so tangled at the top. I feel so much better getting everything cleaned up and organized, trellising up the tomato, growing the little pumpkin vertically on the fence, and having my husband help me with this vertical tomato trellis so that way we could stake up or trellis up a few more different vines. I don't know about you guys, but I'm like somebody who strongly believes that your environment has an effect on your nervous system, and like the stress I was feeling with just the amount of chaos in the paths was a little bit nuts. So I just feel like my head feels more clear. Also, do you guys see this mini pumpkin variety? It's crazy. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 like mostly developed little pumpkins, and I've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, at least 11 on this vine, and then I have a whole nother vine going all the way across this garden bed. I'm really excited to see this plant when all of the little pumpkins form and are hanging from this trellis. It's gonna be so cute. Now that this little pumpkin is all propped up, I'm noticing that my onions, some of the necks are flopping over, as well as this one here is going to seed. So I think it's time to just pull the onions. I know that this one has gone to seed because the stalk at the top, it forms this bulb that will flower and produce seeds. So once your onion does this, it will not cure for long-term storage. So I'm just gonna pull it. You can eat the greens as green onions. Still an okay onion. Not the best, not the worst. I'm just choosing to harvest the rest of these, and then I can plant this bed out further. I don't know what I'm gonna plant in here yet. I think I wanna plant some sweet pea flowers. Yeah, most of these are all pretty small. I have a couple, like this one's a little bit bigger. I probably should have waited a bit longer, but I'm getting antsy. Oh look, that one actually ended up being better than I thought it did. That slime mold off. This one's a good size. 13 bulbs right there. 17 plus these 4 really tiny ones. 35 red onion bulbs. I'm kind of shocked. I did not know that I really planted this many. Granted, a lot of them are like really small and I'll have to use many for one recipe, but some of them are actually good size. So overall, I would consider this an accomplishment because this is my first time harvesting red onions. Also, I probably could have let a lot of them go longer. I'm just eager to turn the bed over, and we're getting more rain in the upcoming forecast and I don't want them to go bad on me. I turned around and noticed some gypsy peppers ready for harvesting. 1, 2, 3, 4 gypsy peppers. And while we're at it, let's just harvest some stuff. Leeks, I'm gonna cut these at the base because they will grow back, which I already have evidence of on my other leeks. Yeah, I'm gonna do this one so these peppers can get a little bit more light and it's ready enough. Look at all of those Hungarian hot wax peppers. Beautiful. I do think they will still need a couple more days though, so I'm gonna let them sit there for now. I've already harvested a couple of tomatoes today, but I just noticed that this one is blushing, so I'm gonna pull it before it starts to get pest damage like some of my other ones. And then this one looks ready. Look, you can see something tried to bite it already. Someone commented on my last video and said it looked consistent with slug damage, which I didn't even know slugs would go after your tomatoes. And then another person commented saying that birds will peck the tomato to get water and to put water in your garden. Brilliant. So thank you to whoever commented that on my video. I will be doing that, and I'll probably be laying sluggo just because I also have some leafy greens, and usually the slugs really take over on the leafy greens. I've tried a lot to combat them. Really nothing else has worked very great for me. Beer traps do work pretty well, but the slugs still were coming despite the beer traps, so I've just kind of resorted to Sluggo. If you guys have a method where you live that has truly, and I mean truly worked, let me know down below. I would love to not use Sluggo, but frankly, it seems to be the only thing that has worked for me. We got a few Romas and San Marzanos. I didn't realize my arugula was like really starting to put out. So we're gonna harvest some leaves. I'm just gonna pinch off some of these outer leaves, making sure that I'm not taking more than like a third of the plant. A lot of you probably already know, but this also helps to prevent your lettuce from bolting. Arugula. There we go. All right, look at this guy. Cute. Next up, fertilizer. So I've been actually pretty bad at fertilizing my garden this year. In fact, I've never been very good at it, but I am using this Tiger Bloom by Fox Farm. Now, this is a really recommended brand. I thought this was organic. It turns out it's not. I don't know how big of a difference it makes. It's supposed to be a higher quality fertilizer to my knowledge. So this is what I'm using. I especially want to use fertilizer right now because the yellowing leaves usually signifies a nitrogen deficiency. However, this is higher in phosphorus and potassium. A lot of my squash and cucumbers aren't producing very much. My lemon cucumbers now, yes, they're producing a lot, but my cucumbers on the other side of the arch trellis are not producing very well. So I'm gonna hit them with this fertilizer to hopefully encourage more blooms, thus equating to more fruit. And then I'm also gonna use this for all of my squash and peppers, and especially my container tomatoes that are struggling. Also the peppers. This one's getting quite a few on it. Awesome. You might have noticed this squash. I've got a couple different butternut squashes here in a Jaharadale green pumpkin. The Jaharadale pumpkin I'm kind of feeding this way, but the two butternut squashes, I have vines going this way, vines going that way, and vines going here. Now, you might notice that it appears that they're going into the fence, but this is intentional. So I'm actually gonna try to feed it through the fence panels. I have a rather large ditch deal going on the other side of this fence, and so I kind of just want to let it grow within the ditch and have like a bunch of squash and then maybe even some pumpkins that I have feeding through on the other side. If there is that much abundance, I want to put a sign out that says like, you pick squash, or like free squash, just for like the neighborhood and neighborhood kids and everyone to kind of have fun picking the squash and just like giving back to my local community. I've just learned that through gardening, you can build such community, and people really appreciate it. Like, people really appreciate the lettuce that you give them, the cucumbers you give them. I did put out like a bunch of free plants and like vegetable starts and flowers and things at the front of my driveway earlier this year, and I met people going on walks saying, hey, who like saw me coming out of my house, like, I took some plants from you, thank you so much. I had a neighbor who gave me zucchini from a zucchini plant that I gave her when my zucchini wasn't making fruit. So it's just a really cool way to build community, and I find that I get a lot of fulfillment through being able to give back to my community through gardening and through sharing a hobby and like fruits of my labor to those around me. It's been a surprise to me that people invite that so much. I don't know, I guess like growing up, I only consumed produce from a grocery store, and so I had to mentally get over like eating my own food, which probably sounds really bizarre, but it's true. So it's like crazy how as things evolve, like my mindset has also become a lot more desensitized to just bugs and what I care about in my food in general. I've had many people try to tell me like, it doesn't make sense to garden, you don't save money, and like, well, yes, that can be true. If you're doing it the right ways or in certain ways, you absolutely can save money. I'm not just like gardening to save money. I'm gardening because I believe that I'm truly growing something that money can't buy, especially in the day and age of like constant recalls. I've really found out the meaning behind food security this year. So anyway, thank you for listening to my tangent. I hope we're able to get some squash through the fence that I can donate to the community. The next thing I'm doing is potting up my fall garden seedlings. So I have a bunch of lettuce that needs to be repotted, and then some artichoke and different brassicas that need to be up potted. Now, I'm really late to up potting these. I up potted a lot of my lettuce varieties and brassicas. I don't know, it might have been a week or even 2 weeks ago. And those ones are doing so good. Like they look like completely different plants than these brassicas here. So I am late to this, but hopefully these will still be okay. I went to go up pot and then I realized I didn't have any more seedling mix or like up potting mix. And so I'm gonna have to make some. So how I make this is I'm gonna use a mixture of coconut coir. I just buy the coconut coir off of Amazon, and then as you wet it, it expands. So you can get a lot of seedling mix from just buying coconut coir. When I'm doing actual seed starting, not for up potting, when I'm doing seed starting, I just use like a little bit of worm castings. Some people say not to use compost or worm castings in seed starting mix because the seedling doesn't need any nutrition to germinate, which is true. However, when it starts to develop its true leaves, it will need nutrition. And I've just found that if I don't add it, they really struggle to develop their first couple sets of true leaves. So that's why I tend to add it. I just add a little bit. And then when I go to up pot them, I add more. I add like, I think today I'm gonna do 2 parts of the coconut coir, 1 part of perlite, 1 part compost, and we'll see how that mixture does.
About 2 parts of the coconut coir.
Yeah, so that one little sheet made quite a bit. This perlite bag is massive, and that's because I got it in bulk from Wilco. I was in Bend, Oregon, and they had a Wilco, and I had never been because where I live doesn't have a Wilco, and I was so excited to go and see what all the Wilco hype was about, and it did not disappoint me. I got a huge, oh, you know what? No, this wasn't Wilco. This was my local farm store. I got a huge bag of bone meal at Wilco. Regardless, Wilco is very cool, but check out your farm store, your local farm stores as well, for bulk ingredients to make your own mixes. Probably should be wearing a mask when I do this. 1 part perlite. Okay, and then 1 part compost. So my final recipe was about 2 parts coconut coir, 1 part perlite, and 1 part compost. Perlite will help with aeration. Oh no, the chickens! Perlite for aeration and drainage, and then compost for nutrients. I do make all of my own seed starting mixes. I just buy the raw ingredients like vermiculite, perlite, and coconut coir. Usually I use vermiculite, but I didn't have any. And vermiculite can be good for like seed starting because it helps more with retaining water, especially because that top of the soil surface can dry out really fast. So some people sprinkle vermiculite on the top. Ultimately, this is way cheaper than just buying soil to up pot your plants in, especially just because the bag soils you get from the store just aren't good. And whenever I've up potted in those, I don't know about you guys, but I just don't have good luck with them. They don't seem to do well. I feel like they just like hold on to too much water or something. So anyway, I started to make my own. It's cheaper. I think it's higher quality. But I am still pretty new to all of the starting my own seeds and everything. If you guys have a combination that you swear by, let me know down below.
I'm potting up into 4-inch nursery pots. I did have to put multiple plants in one pot due to lack of pots and space.
We have made it to the last task of the night, which is treating the powdery mildew. So I am going to treat my pruners. So first I'm going to remove the really heavily impacted leaves and the yellowing leaves. Like that. And now we're just going to spray the powdery mildew with this solution. And again, we're intentionally doing this at night so that way the sun can't burn the leaves from this. This zucchini has the most powdery mildew, so this will be really telling if this takes care of it. That's a wrap. We got so much done today. I literally worked in the garden from late morning until almost sunset. We managed to harvest all of this, so very grateful. You guys saw the weather go from fall to summer, back to fall. I am getting kind of excited for fall. Don't kill me. Today, my husband was using our wood splitter that my dad got for free off of the curb and kind of fixed it up. Garrett split a bunch of wood that needed to be split because wood is our primary source of heat where we live. Anyway, I'm just excited for fall, for fires again. I hope you enjoyed the video. And as always, if you have any questions, please drop them down below in the comments. And if this is the type of content that you enjoy, gardening, homesteading, then I encourage you to subscribe subscribe, and let's grow together. Good night, guys.